legislature and locating the Education Economic Development Meeting calendar. Pardon me, what is this? Sorry, technical difficulty. I would ask that everyone please silence your cell phones, tablets, and electronic devices. Please be mindful that the microphones in the statutory committee room are very sensitive and robust. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kelly, roll call, please.
Ronald? Ramos? Present. Miskevich?
Here.
Bazey?
Here.
Sierra? DeGanga? Here. Sutherland? Benedict? Vice President Rios.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move item number 2 up to item number 1 for the interest of time. With that, I would ask that Chairwoman Catherine Benelli please present for the following. The resolution appointing Mark Green to the Orange County Industrial Development Agency and the Orange County Funding Corp. Term will expire on 12/31/2024. And item B, resolution appointing Giovanni Palladino to the Orange County Industrial Development Agency and the Orange County Funding Corp., whose term would expire on 12/31/2024. Chairwoman Benelli, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it, Chairman.
Do I need a motion?
Gentlemen,
I'll make a
yes,
motion.
yeah.
Thank you. Motion.
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Joe, we need 2 separate motions on A and B.
Okay, so motion for A,
So moved.
Skevich,
And I'll second.
Stenanga, motion for B,
I'll second one first.
Stenanga,
Second.
and Sass.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much for clarifying that, Mr. Chairman. As you probably all realize, we do have 2 vacancies on the IDA committee. So we have been doing a pretty exhaustive search to look for individuals that could fill those vacancies. And I'm very pleased to have these 2 gentlemen with me this afternoon. We've done interviews with both Mark Green and Giovanni Palladino. And the interviews were done with the expertise of legislator Paul Riskevich, who was actually an IDA member himself for a year. And he's also the chairman of the Rules Committee, and also our legal counsel, Betsy Abraham. This is the way that we have been vetting these members in the past, so we continued that process with both of these gentlemen. Up first, I believe you mentioned Mr. Green, is that correct?
Yes.
So I'd like to introduce Mr. Green. He comes to us from Port Jervis. He was recommended by the majority leader, Tom Fagione, but we're not going to hold that against him. And he has a very strong background, and I know you all received the resumes, correct? So he has a very strong background in finance, and that was one of my priorities in looking at filling these vacancies, is to have somebody of that stature and his expertise. So I was very happy to meet Mr. Green, and we had a very good meeting. I should also state to all of you that in the vetting process, each gentleman was presented with the Code of Ethics policy for the IDA, as well as the conflict of interest policy. They had the opportunity to review it, because this is something that upon approval and taking the position of IDA board member, they would have to sign. Both of them felt more than comfortable in signing both of these things, so they can speak to themselves. So at first, I'd like to introduce Mr. Green, and if he'd like to just say a few brief things.
Well, a quick story. So I did sign these papers, and in 56 years, I actually do get to use the excuse my dog ate my homework. My golden retriever came down last night, very proud of herself with my papers in her mouth. So I have new papers and they're signed, and we're ready to go.
Just in time.
Yes. I've been a lifelong resident of Orange County. I grew up in Pine Grove Trailer Park up in Cutterbackville. My family then bought a property up in Cutterbackville. Graduated Port Jervis High School. Graduated, well, what was then Ox, now SUNY Orange. Went on, did my undergrad at Northeastern University and did my MBA associates in Stern School of Business in NYU. I've lived and maintained my home here, but I have been working in New York City for the last 30 plus years at various consulting firms. I've worked mainly with companies, helping them communicate with Wall Street. So I've been, for lack of a better term, exposed to incredibly sensitive financial information. So these forms are nothing new to me. I've had signed numerous NDAs in my career and have had to excuse myself if there's been conflict of interest. So I'm very well aware of the situation. Any questions?
Does anyone have any
Thank you.
questions for either myself or for Mr. Green?
Okay.
Okay, then we're going to move on to introduce Mr. Palladino.
Thank you.
Mr. Palladino, it was a pleasure meeting him. I was very happy he was able to come in for the interview. He was introduced to me by your chairman, Mr. Menuda. And Mr. Palladino is a fellow architect with a very strong background in building, understanding building codes and understanding development and working with a lot of various different individuals in the industry. So Mr. Palladino, if you'd like to just say a brief statement about yourself, and then we can answer any questions that may be.
Oh, I have my paperwork, my dog did not eat it. It's signed, no problem.
Going for the brownie points already.
My dog's a good girl, so. I have no issue with I've been involved in many nonprofits. I'm born and raised in the city of Newburgh, Orange County resident my whole life. I am an architect, but I've spent the last 20 years in the development world, working for real estate developers. So I'm hoping that I could bring a little insight from the developer's perspective and what they're going through to get these projects approved. And just, my architectural background, of course, we probably have enough architects right in this room right now. But, I've always been very involved in my community. I see this as a promotion and actually get more involved with the county, and I'm very excited to be here.
Any questions for Mr. Palladino or myself?
Just got a quick comment. I had the pleasure of sitting in on both interviews with the gentlemen. I think they're both going to be excellent addition to the IDA board. So I want to thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank both of you for coming to us. And we are really in a debt of gratitude to fill these positions. And with the qualifications that you both bring, I look forward to working with you. And I think it's going to be a huge benefit for the IDA. So thank you both very much. Thank you. Okay. Okay, with that, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
We have to vote.
We got to vote on
They
both.
have to-
Oh, both?
Yeah.
One at a time. So A, for Mr. Green. All in favor?
Aye.
And B, for Mr. Giovanni Palladino?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
Gentlemen, thank you very much and congratulations. Actually, that's going to go to the IDA. I did my part. Now you go to the IDA.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
gentlemen.
much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My pleasure, Chairwoman Benelli. Item number 2, item number 1 of the agenda, but second in command here is Amanda Dana, Tourism Director, here for a request for a supplemental appropriation for marketing campaign. Fall and winter of 2022 to be allocated to the 2022 tourism budget. This is the first installment toward a 4-season marketing campaign that will increase visitor spending with an emphasis on local communities and attractions. $500,000, legislative request number 192.
So.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sassy and Mr. Vinga. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I want to take the time to express the county executives, very thankful that we had this meeting here. I am going to speak on behalf of the county executive to express his wishes and intentions to expand our tourism budget. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us here. I think we can change that slide if you like. I'll do a little tap. I too had a dog experience on the way here. Just so you know, I have a golden retriever as well, and I went home and she was choking on a bone, and I had to do some first aid on her. She's fine, everything's great, but I was like, my goodness, those golden retrievers. Okay. So I would like to start by just managing your expectations. This will be a little bit of a lengthy presentation. It's a very important topic that we're trying to discuss as far as a future investment into tourism. And I'd like to at this time introduce some folks in the room who will be speaking as well about the presentation. First and foremost, Rachel Carr, who is here. She's been an instrumental part of our presentation. I would like to also Josh Summers. He's with Focus Media. He will be speaking to some of the things that we're going to talk about that's super exciting. Lisa Summers, she'll be also speaking to us about some of the social media engagements. And JP McGurk will also be speaking to us about some of the other things that we are proposing to you. Before I change the slide, I just want to let you know that we will go through a brief introduction. We'll do the objectives of this marketing plan. We'll talk a little bit about tourism statistics. We'll talk a little bit about the 2022 proposed investment. We'll discuss a budget summary, and then hopefully, and more importantly, we'll discuss these expenses. Okay. So the county executive felt very strongly back in June, as you remember from his State of the County address, he had mentioned that he would like to put more of an investment into tourism, into a 4-season campaign. The county executive had stressed a couple of things. One, he feels the timing is absolutely right for this growth and absolutely right for this investment. But he also wanted to make sure that I conveyed his wishes that this investment isn't just for hanging on to our anchors, but it's also for taking the visitor spending and bringing it throughout the entire county. That's a very important piece of this entire plan. So the two things I want to discuss right now is that timing is right. This would be a spend or an ask out of the occupancy tax, which is visitor dollars. And also the second thing is that when we put this plan in place, we are going to use the latest and greatest marketing techniques to make sure that when those visitor dollars come into Orange County, that they go throughout the county. Okay, so just to give you some context, I think it's important to see how other areas very close to us are using their occupancy tax. For example, Sullivan County's bed tax last year hovered around $2 million. Their tourism budget is $1.7 million. About 85% of their occupancy tax, I can't talk today, is spent on the tourism office. Our Orange County bed tax last year was about $5.3 million, and our budget hovers around $1.164 million. That's about a 20 or 21% of the bed tax that we use for marketing and administration of the tourism office. This year, we've actually hit the ground running. We're very happy to let you know that we are at about 32% higher than 2021, and we'll talk a little more about that. So as I mentioned, Orange County is perfectly situated to put forth a more aggressive plan. This plan, certain things happening right now that make it right. Planned expansion at Woodbury Common. The full-service Legoland New York Park, which is now created Orange County as a destination or more of a destination. The planned $45 million expansion at Storm King Art Center, again, making Orange County a destination. 19 new hotel rooms, a booming craft beverage sector, and we are and will continue to be geographically ideal for visitors. Okay. So let's talk about the objectives of the marketing plan. Now, we're going to spend some time on this slide, so get used to it. So, of course, when you put together a plan, you have to have objectives. But it's important for you to know that the goal of this, and it has always been, is to increase hotel, motel, occupancy tax, and sales tax by bringing in more visitors. On the slide, you'll see 4 areas of concentration or objectives. The first one is to create stronger branding and the recognition of Orange County. The second one, to foster multiple night stays. Third, bolster midweek stays, and we will get into that because it has a big topic to discuss about our hotels. And the last one is increase collaborations with strategic partners, and we're going to get more in the weeds with that, or put our toes in the water with that, because it's a very important topic. So the 4 main objectives have examples of what we're going to be doing, how are we going to get there, and at the end of the day, we're going to show you that when we maximize our resources, we get maximum impact, and that means increased visitor spending into your communities. So let's talk about latching onto our strong brands, or as Josh would like to say, he calls them our anchors. And our anchors are the assets that we have that make us very strong, that bring in thousands, if not millions, of people here spending money in our communities. We hope to strengthen those relationships and brand with them in any way, shape, or form. And that will benefit us. We benefit by branding with an asset that has a bigger pond to fish, or a bigger sea, I should say. So it's a bigger net. We have a smaller net, they have a bigger net. So it only helps us. Some examples a social media campaign will do, and here's a sneak peek. OCNY Backpacks Welcome, you might be starting that very soon. That's just an example of things we're going to be pushing. Digital campaigns, of course, and we'll talk more about that. Our Google Adwords campaign, our digital advertising campaign, and two things that we're very excited about, our television campaign and our radio campaign, and we'll get more into that. But before I go further, I want to let you know that this isn't a new concept at all. So when Paul's going to Warren County and he's going to plan his vacation there, do you guys know what he's doing? He's going to Lake George. So Lake George is the asset. Warren County builds off that asset. Anybody know where St. Helena is? St. Helena is in California, Napa Valley. So Napa Valley is the attraction that these municipalities, there's 9 of them, by the way, in Napa County, that use Napa Valley as their branding tool. One more, Lake Buena Vista. Who's got that? That's Florida, right? That's Disney World. So they use their biggest asset to help them brand, to help them bring more visitors to their area. So let's move along to foster multi-night stays. So I've mentioned this before, that it's the movement from being a day tripping community to being a destination that encourages overnights. Because what happens when people stay overnight? They spend more money. Fact. So say, for example, someone spends on average about $250 per person for an overnight. A day trip is $100. So that's really a big impact on our economy. So how are we going to do that? We're going to cross promote our attractions with our downtowns and events. We're going to create packages. So like, for example, there was a package created or a marketing collaboration with Angry Orchard and the UFO parade and festival. And that was a great collaboration. It brought more people in because of that event, and it brought people to Angry Orchard. Others that we could possibly do is Legoland with the Great American Weekend. So people are going to Legoland and they're going to go to the Great American Weekend. We could also do something with Storm King Art Center, maybe collaborate that with Newburgh Illuminated and do things like that. So those are what we're talking about when we say packages. More investment and promotion in Long Island and New York City. So you betcha that Long Island is a big market for us. And Long Island is just far enough where they're going to make an overnight. So there's a lot of folks coming here to Legoland and they're staying longer, and that's a big market for us, as well as the entire New York City DMO. We're going to leverage digital campaigns to affiliate Google searches for top destinations, and we're going to launch new videos. We have 4 of them in process right now, and we're going to be offering more, and we'll talk more about that. So when we say bolster midweek stays, it brings up a very strong topic in our county. Has anyone ever tried to get a hotel room on the weekend? Now, it's very hard to, but that doesn't mean that these lodging partners of ours are 100% happy with the climate. They would like more midweek overnights. For example, I had someone call me just this weekend and she said, my dad is in the hospital and I cannot find a hotel room. She couldn't. She had to go to Pennsylvania. And that is something where I would like to see more options. We would like to see, as a county, we'd like to see more overnights, but we have to build the midweek business first. So let's talk about how to do that. So sports tourism is one way we could do that. We encourage sports tourism. That's during the week types of events, and we could certainly encourage that and support that. Conference center, we've heard this before. We're going to talk more about that, but a conference center and properties like a conference center builds midweek overnights, and it also does it in the shoulder season. You know, that really dark, cold time in Orange County between January and March, that's conference time. So we should talk more about that. Bringing in more film brings in more midweek overnight. And one strategy that we're looking at is billboards. So billboards at strategic locations could build the midweek business traffic, as well as looking into business corporations as well to see how we can get them more overnights in Orange County. And even if they're not exactly in Orange County, to come to Orange County to stay overnight. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the increased collaborations with strategic partners. And we talked about the big net, we talked about the big fish and why that's important. But it really is important when there's millions of people that follow a Legoland New York resort that we can capture that big group of fish and bring them to us. So it's going to benefit us. It's going to benefit us when we work more closely with Woodbury Common. Imagine if we got to those people, those 13 million people that come here before they come here. We get to them before they come here, so they will plan their trip, plan their overnights here before they come. We could combine our efforts with the United States Military Academy, little typo there, sorry on my end. They're not changing their new name, but it's a little typo, we forgot the Y. How about some collaborations with New York Stewart International, which is on a complete growth mode? We can do that as well. Coach USA, MTA, we can collaborate with them. And keep in mind that some of our collaborations that we're talking about may take us into next year, but it perhaps is working with an influencer who will come here and put Orange County on the map. Okay. So tourism statistics, who says that word 10 times fast? Not me. Okay, so this screen is important because it shows growth. It shows growth in our hotel motel occupancy tax. I like to call it bed tax if I can for this presentation. So 2017, 18, 19, all growth. Of course, 2020, we understand the impact of COVID, but we're going to move on to 2021. Look at that number, 5.273. That is a huge number for bed tax, the highest ever collected. And if we go look and see how we're performing in the first 2 quarters of this year, we are up 32.45% in hotel motel occupancy tax, bed tax. In fascinating growth. And it's also estimated that if we keep at this track, we'll probably be close to $6 million in collected bed tax. So what I think is important also is if we were to talk through some of our web traffic, some of the things that we measure ourselves to see how we're performing. At this time, I would like JP McGurk to talk a little bit about this slide to explain to you what this slide means and more importantly, what this growth means. JP, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Is it okay?
Mr. McGurk, please come up.
Did you want me to come up here?
Please.
So this is just another really quick indicator of the success we've had this year. We've had a real positive year. So this is just simply a snapshot of January through June 2022 versus 2021. As you can see, so sessions are the visits to the website. So year over year, we're up 31.5% in visits to the website. We're up 31% in users. And then new users, and then all users up almost 28%. You know, those are really the 3 key indicators that we look at for success of the website. And we've had a real banner year so far this year with websites. And I would say, don't let the little red guy scare you. Those are actually positive things, because what we've been doing is, you know, years ago, we would run a campaign and drive you to the homepage, and then the person has to search throughout the website to find what we're advertising about. Now we're creating more and more landing pages. So if we have an advertising campaign for hiking, it's going directly to a hiking landing page, which reduces the amount of pages people have to search through. And so that's just, the reds are also actually positive. So it's been a very successful year. I'm excited about this year. As I always tell Amanda, you know, I'm very competitive with myself, so I always want to beat prior year results. And, you know, this year has been a banner year so far.
Yes, thank you, JP.
Thank you.
Probably can sit right
Take a
there.
closing for a second. Are there any questions at this point from anyone? No? Please continue.
Okay, so now we're very excited to show you what we have planned in our TV media spend. And this really puts us where we should be, frankly, with our spending and our investment in tourism. After we show this, a really exciting draft commercial, we'll show it to you, who's been busy over the last few weeks filming and getting this together. But after we show you this, Josh is going to talk a little bit about the importance of a TV campaign and radio campaign. Okay, let's hope it works. It's not working, speakers.
You want to turn your computer around so you can hear it?
Sure.
You know what? I have a laptop that has very good sound. So if everyone doesn't mind, I'll play it off of this. Just have-
Joe?
We could come back to TJ.
But he's peeking his head. Who's the man behind the curtain?
Should I share my audio because it's not playing on there?
It'd probably be best if he plays off this.
Oh, we're gonna be able to live stream that?
Well,
I think it depends, either you're gonna get clear crisp audio in here or clear crisp audio over the live stream. The mic will be able to pick it up. I think that your safer bet is to try this.
Okay, thank you. So do we want to face that towards the camera so they can at least see the
You can
video?
for sure.
yeah,
Try doing
and
that?
it has pretty good audio on this laptop, so I'm just doing the best I can with the laptop.
What do you gotta get away?
Orange County was an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, the vision of it. Did you want me to play it for the audience, or they can do it on the live stream, or?
I think we're good for now.
Okay, so the vision of it is to take the top anchors of Orange County, the top 7 or 8 destinations, and get people here. You know, one of the key things to note, and Amanda touched on this, is people don't affiliate with boundaries of counties. You know, they know Resourceful, Catskills, they don't necessarily know what's in Sullivan. They know Woodbury. But if you're on a plane going to Europe, say I live in Orange County, they're not going to really know where that is. But if you say I live by Woodbury Common, they're going to have some orientation of where you are. So that's the theme of taking our top anchors and, you know, affiliating our brand and our visitation with the anchors. And that's what the purpose of the TV ad is. The number one way, most memorable way to brand a brand or create awareness of a brand is to use television. It's proven time and time again. We lack the resources to run a meaningful TV campaign. So our philosophy is, if we can't spend enough money on something to make an impact, let's fill the cups of ideas or medias that we can make an impact with. So most of our marketing has been digital, which we're gonna touch on. So the TV campaign that we're proposing is a 1-month blitz during if we can go back just one, that is during the highest season for Orange County. Now we can make it 2 months, but we rather have the frequency during that 1-month blitz. So what we're proposing, and what's great about the New York City TV market is you're not just getting the 5 boroughs of Manhattan, you're getting northern New Jersey, Fairfield County, and a great target of Long Island. So we're very excited with the possibility of doing this. It also coincides with Legoland's season, and once again, the peak Orange County season as well. So there's a significant opportunity. As I touched on before, the visuals are very powerful. We have 3 more videos that are in production now, which I'll let Amanda touch on. So probably later on, I know we have a slide. So if we can go to the next slide. What we did is we used Nielsen ratings. Nielsen ranks television and radio stations, and these are all familiar stations to us: WABC, Channel 7, and WCBS New York. Adults 25 to 54 have the most disposable income. It also coincides with most families. And WABC, this is households. has over 100,000 households. And what you do with ratings is you multiply the number of people in that household, and then that's how you determine audience. And WCBS, number 2, with close to 80,000 households. So, and these are different time slots throughout the day. The next slide. So WABC and Channel 2 CBS combined give us 4 million impressions in a 1-month period. Impressions are how many times the commercial is viewed. Those are eyeballs. That's a very impactful schedule. And of the adults 25 to 54, 13% and 7.6% of those adults will be reached in that 1-month period. And WABC, they'll see it 4.2 times. CBS 2, they'll see it 3 times. So it's a very impactful schedule that we feel will really be an investment in the right direction, particularly with the high season of Orange County. So radio, it's a similar approach. We're able to touch a very broad area of Orange County's #1 market. And just to go over that investment would be $100,000. When you're spending $600 to $800, even $1,000 on a commercial, it adds up pretty fast. So once again, the entire 5 boroughs, New York City, Northern New Jersey, Connecticut, this is Orange County's prime market, and we think it will be a very strong medium for us to start to invest in and brand. The next slide. And these are rankings of radio stations by Nielsen. Z100 New York, WHTZ is #1. And you'll see that's with adults 25 to 54. And even with persons 18 plus, it's #2. The second station, WLTW, is #1 in total adults and #2, 25 to 54. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see the 2 stations that we're proposing, Z100 and LTW, the 2 top stations. One of the benefits of buying these 2 stations is they're both owned by iHeartMedia. So we're able to negotiate stronger rates because we're speaking with them by giving them the total budget. So you're talking about 5 million times the commercial will be viewed with adults 25 to 54, which is a very impactful schedule. And on average, they'll hear that nearly 3 times. So this is a real blitz for our high season. And we think it's a really strong investment to start to take our anchors and affiliate it with Orange County.
Okay, so we're gonna go into another strategy, which is called Google Adwords, and we're gonna touch lightly on that, not get into the real teaching you about Google Adwords. We're gonna take the highlights on this, but Google Adwords is a strong campaign for us to be marketing. JP is gonna cover the Google Adwords part of this presentation.
Pause it for just a moment.
Yep.
So it's a long presentation, so I want to kind of chunk it so that we're having conversation. If there are any questions from anyone, either please chime in or ask them at this time for what we just set up. I do have questions with regard to the TV and radio spots.
Okay.
As far as timing and when they're being aired and things of that nature, make sure we're maximizing those, and if they're not being, because I've been unfortunately party to some of that where it's not really targeting the right time frames. People aren't up watching at those hours, right? So
Right.
making sure that we're hitting those spots.
And it would be absolutely our target. We have a sister county, Sullivan County, who has spent quite a bit on that. And they are on the NBC morning show just before 7 o'clock, those commercials come on. I hope that, and believe it or not, many people, you'd know the numbers, I wouldn't know the numbers, but are watching at that time. We will be strategic about it, absolutely. And
So there's more to come.
well, we have to decide a
detailed,
time.
We haven't finalized it, but
Yeah.
we have a draft schedule. It actually starts at 5 a.m. when people get moving. The CBS early show is part of that. A lot of the daytime TV on Channel 7, such as The View and other shows like that, they're all part of the mix.
Thank you. Yes,
Are we gonna be hitting any, like live streaming stuff, like, the paid stations, Sling, Pluto, Hulu? Because I know that age bracket that you're looking at, they're more all those stations rather than the, like the cable stations.
It's an absolutely great question. We are doing YouTube television. Quite frankly, comes down to a prioritization of resources. So there are more streaming services, and Netflix is coming next,
That's.
that are doing streaming. You can actually do a much more better targeting of specific segments and audiences. So it is part of our future recommendations. We just want to get on the air, and we want to touch a lot of people. And this is a medium that hasn't been used, I think, in 5 or 6 years by the county. And I can tell you, for many years, for 8 years, we did Ulster County Tourism. And at the time, they had a larger budget than Orange County did, quite a bit of TV. The Villa Roma Resort in Sullivan County, we bought TV for them for years. So it's an important element that we've been lacking.
It's actually great you brought that up because we were absolutely discussing doing it for 2023.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's absolutely part of our plan, yeah, depending on where we go.
And just in case of point on your anchors, I remember attending Pratt in Brooklyn back in the 90s. Nobody knew where Orange County was when I was there, but they knew where Woodbury Commons was because they marketed throughout the world. We had a lot of Asian influence and so they're marketing to those countries pretty exclusively. So targeting like you're suggesting, that tells us where it's located and people can associate.
Yeah, quite frankly, our tourism economy is much different than it was 5 years ago. In a destination resort, it's not besides all the great marketing happening, there's certainly the market conditions that are there, that we can really, put it on Miracle-Gro. That was Lisa's term. I wanted to use steroids, but Miracle-Gro is a little bit more appropriate. So the market conditions are there. Now's the time to consider making a further investment.
Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. So Jeffrey, if you could talk a little bit about Google AdWords and how important that can
Sure.
be.
So Google AdWords is one of our current most successful programs. I'll just touch on it pretty quick. Again, we're focusing on the New York DMA, which is the 5 boroughs, Long Island, parts of Connecticut, parts of northern New Jersey. I think everyone knows, Google AdWords are, when you type in a search, it's the paid ads that show up, text ads that show up on the top. So basically you're rising to the top of all searches and you're paying for those. And, that's just an example of a few of the ads we're running. We're probably running 200 to 300 ads at any given time, and they do change per season. Every season we switch them out, so you can switch to the next. So just to show you, and again, this has been one of our most successful programs, and it's usually qualified people coming to the website because they're searching for something that they're interested in. And it could be someone in New York City simply saying, craft beverages near me. We're going to pop up in those searches for them. And
Upstate hiking.
Yeah, anything like that. So, I'm not going to get into the weeds with the metrics, but just real quick, click-through rates is the rate of people who click on the ad for more info. Cost per click is the cost per click. The key performance indicator is usually CTR. So the tourism industry CTR is 2.18%.
Our fine what that is.
That just.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Our 5-year average is 7.4%. It's more than 3 times the industry average. This year, we're doing, I feel an amazing job. We're basically almost 6 times the industry average. So Google AdWords is really one of our most key successful programs. Move forward. And what we're looking to do, so our current budget, what we have is 95,000. So we're just looking to bolster that a little bit this year, adding an additional 20,000. And that, we have September through November, but we also might want to leap that into December to start promoting some of our, winter activities.
So we're going to jump into digital display advertising, which is another one of our campaigns, another strategy we use to get the word out about Orange County. JP, you're going to take that too?
I'll take it again.
All right.
So again, targeting the same areas because we don't want to spread our eggs too far. We want to focus in on one area, and the area is the New York DMA, which is a huge area, all 5 boroughs, Long Island, parts of Connecticut and New Jersey. So this is an actual ad we're running right now, and they're on digital display networks. So when you're on Yahoo, you'll see all those ads on the right-hand side, or if you go to, Times Herald Record online, you'll notice ads on your right-hand side. So these go into a digital ad network, and These we pay for by impressions, not by clicks. And if you can move forward to the next slide. And I will say, so again, digital advertising, we've moved far away from the days of print advertising where it's tough to see what your return on investment is, how you can measure it. So all of the digital campaigns, we can monitor and judge their success by how they're performing. And again, probably digital display advertising is one of the top ways for branding, because these ads, you get a lot of impressions. So just to show the 5-year span, it's 177 million impressions. Since this is to December 31st, we have over 1 million clicks to the websites just from digital display advertising. And again, tourism industry standard is 0.35. Our 5-year average is 0.55. So outperforming the industry. You could move forward. So this is the number one and quickest way to drive large amounts of traffic to your website. So this, again, our budget for 2022 is 96,000. We're looking to bump this up a bit to an additional 50,000, and we just feel this is the greatest way to increase the funnel of driving people to your website.
Okay, so thank you for that, JP. And another way that we are going to, what we're putting in the plan is to have a more robust social media, Instagram and Facebook plan. And is it okay that,
Yes, please.
So I have the disadvantage of going toward the end where everyone's getting a little bleary-eyed here, so I'm going to try and keep up the pace and move a little quickly here. We're going to start with Instagram because, again, we talked about that market of 25 to 54, and we're really focusing our energy on that key demographic. So Instagram and Facebook is really the place to be because that's where that demographic is right now. There are other outlets. You want to talk about your TikTok and your Snapchat, but that tends to trend a little younger. So we're sticking with that Insta and Facebook. And right here, you'll notice that red circle. Those are the organic likes that we're getting right now on Insta, some of our high points. And organic is essentially the non-paid. So I'm showing you the engagement that we're getting right now on the non-paid campaigns, which is pretty great. But that means we're doing a great job collaborating with the team. We're showing people what they want to see. We're getting the user engagement. So just imagine the kind of engagement that we can get with serious paid campaigns that we're going to talk about moving forward. So that's Instagram. High point on Facebook, you'll see I've circled here some really great engagement we got on some of our top posts in April and July. The reach is really high there, 8,643 on the one post, 7,407 on the other. The likes and the comments and the shares, very impressive on Facebook, especially considering that Facebook does everything in its power to try to get you to pay for everything if you are a business or organization page. So this is organic and non-paid. So again, imagine what we can do when we pay for our stuff. This is all non-paid results. So moving on to the next slide. We have been collaborating with tourism on a social media strategy since 2019. So you'll see these results. Social media has been a great tool to engage our users and get the word out about all of the great things happening in the county. So starting in 2019, those are the followers that we've had on Instagram and Facebook. So 1,793 on Insta, 12,900 on Facebook. Now, as of June 30th, 2022, we've grown those platforms to 4,761 on Insta and 29,614 on Facebook. So look at the math, 166% growth on Insta, 130% growth on Facebook. So we're increasing our users, the engagement, so people are seeing more. We're getting the word out about all of the great things, keeping the momentum up. So we are proposing an increase in spending on both platforms for this year to continue getting the word out because it's highly targetable. So we talked about Google AdWords and digital display advertising. Facebook and Instagram are both incredible mediums to be able to target very niche audiences with a variety of different messages. So you'll see later on in this presentation, we are proposing bolstering our photography and video libraries. So in doing that, we can do some really incredible advertising on Facebook and Insta and really target a variety of different audiences with key messages and different messages and, really get them up here and get the word out. So our current budget for this year was $20,000. We are proposing additional spending from September through November or December of $40,000 because there is so much we can do with it.
So the next portion has to do obviously YouTube, and it is the second largest search engine, and we find this to be a very intricate and really strategic move for us. And JP, if you want to just take us through YouTube.
Sure, I mean, that's just an example of where the ad could show up. You can move to the next slide. The key thing here, hands down, is what Amanda just said. YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. Josh talked earlier about the importance of video and talked about television. There's just a ton of people going on YouTube. It makes sense. You can run it a multitude of different ways, and we won't get into the weeds of that right now. So you can switch to the next one. But once again, through YouTube, you can see the impressions and views, the view through rate, which is similar to a click through rate, average cost per view, clicks and click through rate as well. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the Facebook advertising. We're looking to have a budget for YouTube of $30,000 this year. We actually have not done YouTube in the last few years because we're just now getting to update our video library and create new videos. And we have 4 planned already and hoping to plan more, which we'll talk about later. And it just makes perfect sense to do it on YouTube. It's also YouTube's part of Google, so you can do it in line with Google Adwords, and you can match up those results with one another, and highly trackable, highly measurable as well.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the next slide. And so billboards is one of the things that we're considering doing, and a strong campaign toward that to increase the midweek traffic into Orange County. I am going to have Josh talk about this, but it's one thing that we feel pretty confident about. We can try to bolster that midweek traffic.
All right, so we love to have billboards on the Thruway, but Lady Bird Johnson had something called the Thruway Beautification Act, which I found out about 10 years ago. So there's very few billboards on the Thruway, and on all interstates. However, Route 17 is a prime opportunity to get midweek traffic and have people that come through on a regular basis, or a last minute stopover, to think of Orange County as a good midweek place to be. We don't really have the issue on weekends, so we've created sample billboards to show what it could be like. So for Route 17, we're targeting exit 122 because you have a cluster of food and beverage, hotels, including a handful of new ones, and activities and things to do. So we think exit 122 and having a billboard on Route 17 West is a very important tactic to consider. And then in the Middletown area, promoting exit 124 Goshen, exit 126, and Woodbury. So it's a long-term investment. It's a long game. We think there's a very, very strong opportunity, and the reward will be there. So here's just a sample, and these could change quite a bit because we're looking at digital billboards. The fact that you can put multiple, can you go back to that one? Multiple billboards in rotation. To get more out of business travel, eat, stay, play. This is Route 17 West as an idea. We have breweries, etc. Spice up your business travel, dining, hotels, fun, exit 122. Business travel and style, hotels, dining, shopping, 124, 126, 131, that's Route 17 East. We've already talked to Lamar Advertising, and there is an opportunity to start in October, November, December. And that's just that's promoting one of our main streets, that's off exit 124 downtown Goshen. We actually want to get a more high-res photo, a more current photo of that, but it's just to give you an idea of the opportunity that we think can drive midweek opportunities. And quite frankly, Google AdWords were already promoting midweek stays, but this is a much more important way to have people think when they're on Route 17 that come through, that are going to Binghamton, et cetera, to make this an overnight stop.
And if I could just point out one thing about this, it's a really strong campaign, but we realized that the Newburgh, Montgomery, Pine Bush kind of area sometimes will not get this exposure. So we're going to be creating some type of a mechanism or strategy that will focus on that part of our county as well. This was just easy because it's the place where our billboards are allowed. So it was just one of our campaigns we're going to be talking through and looking into. Just want to let you guys know that. So, okay, let's move on. All right, so conference center feasibility study, you've heard about this through our economic development director, Steve Gross. Him and I have been talking a lot about this, and he did submit a CFA for the feasibility study. However, after we talked thoroughly about this, we did realize that there is a timetable issue with the CFA that would probably not even allow us to hire any type of a company probably to second quarter next year. We are nervous that the timing is not going to work for the influx of interest in our county, and therefore we have talked about putting in this type of spend into the tourism enhanced marketing plan. And there's many reasons for that. As we have said before, a conference center, as I spoke about before, is really a strategy that many areas use to bolster the midweek overnights, as well as the shoulder seasons. And we feel that this feasibility study will attract even more developers into Orange County. And in a perfect world, we would identify sites in Orange County, which would be the best strategic place for conference centers. We did speak initially to Pattern for Progress, who gave us some wonderful insight on some of the quantitative metrics that go in behind this search for a company to do this. And frankly, they gave us a lot of great ideas. If we were to do this, we'd hope that they would bid on this for us. And this would be someone we strongly encourage, or we'll probably look at. If you can go to the next slide. So just, yeah.
So just to clarify, to do a feasibility study, it would go out for RFP?
No, that would be gone through a private sector, but it would go through a bidding process. Sorry, not RFP, a bidding process.
A bidding process.
Yes.
Okay, I was curious about why, like
Yes.
why Pattern for Progress?
It's just one of the ones that we talked to that would give us basically free advice on some things. So we did talk to them initially.
Thank you, and I'm a little confused.
Sure.
We put forward the conference center initiative, and now we're peeling back from that?
Not pulling back, it's the application was submitted.
Okay.
There's two factors. The application might not get funding. So we're gonna wait till December to find that out. And then if we did get funding, then it would have to go through government procurement. And at that point, I feel like the timing is not working.
Not to put you on the spot for numbers, but if you have them, that was what, about $100,000, and I think it was 50% match or something like that from the county?
Well, the folks, the vendors we talked to, it's between 40 and 50,000 for this feasibility study. I think that one was a little bit more robust, which included strategic planning. So not to speak for Steve Gross on his plan, but I feel it was more robust than just a feasibility study.
About my personal thoughts on this, if that's not gonna work out for us, for a little more, we're gonna be doing this anyway, why not just put the money into it? That's another option, maybe that's something we should be speaking to Steve about.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it. So this is just some factors that make a conference center attractive or not attractive, I should say, but access to highways, infrastructure, proximity to other conference centers, as well as proximity to hotels, restaurants, businesses, environmental constraints, property ownerships, and of course, local zoning. So we hope to, with this expanded plan, we'd hope to hire a company that would do this feasibility study, because we do feel very strongly about that, and so does our county executive. Okay, so we're heading near the end here, guys. I know I'm holding on to you. So video and production and photography. So we spent the last 3 weeks starting to build our inventory on video and photography. But this instance, we need to go a little further, a lot further, I should say. But so you've heard about TV, radio, YouTube, social media, Google Adwords, but all of this supplies our messaging. So video is already in production. We have our top destinations, our craft beverage, outdoor activities, and family fun. We're proposing 3 more that will get other parts of our county exposure, including our downtowns, boutique lodging, and winter in Orange County. Again, the production would be a 30-second TV spot for 2022, expanded video and photography library. This cost would be $30,000 to bolster our inventory, which, by the way, we haven't even spent any money on in the last few years. It just wasn't in the budget, and we really need to catch up and get our content and up and going so that we can be in all of these platforms.
Are these co-branded sponsors providing any financing for promotion of their own companies in these ads?
So the co-branding, I'm getting to strategic partnerships next, and actually I could address that, so I will do that. So we have talked about working with, collaborating with branded partners, our anchors, partners that have tremendous amounts of marketing budgets that would be a great advantage for us to work with. And not just a Legoland or Woodbury Common, but it's also our transportation partners to work with. So to answer your question, when we engage with a social media campaign with these anchors, yes, there is a cost to that. So there is a cost to advertise at Woodbury Common. There's a cost to work with their membership. They work with other counties right now on these types of products. Frankly, we're not working with them and they're in our county, but other counties are spending a lot of money with them to work with them and with their memberships, with advertising, and that would be where the cost is. We do a small campaign with Legoland New York currently, which involves a social media alliance, and it has proven to be very successful. For 5 weeks of marrying with them and with our brand on their ads, we get probably 11,000 to 12,000 viable emails that are looking for fun in Orange County that come to us, that we send them collateral. So it really has worked out with our test markets, and we hope to do more. So that's just one part of it. Our collaborations are, as I mentioned, with our transportation partners, getting more signage, advertising perhaps at Penn Station, which, we have a train that comes right through Secaucus into our county that we don't advertise with. Advertising and working with Coach USA a little closer, maybe even when someone goes onto their Wi-Fi on the bus, our ad comes up first, so they have to come through us to get to the Wi-Fi. Just some ideas we've been talking about. And yes, there are costs to this that we have in reserve right now, and we haven't really quantified it, but we put some money aside to do these types of things. Wouldn't it be nice to have a kiosk at Stewart, New York Stewart, where when the flights come in, we would welcome them, welcome, here's some great things to do in Newburgh, here's some great things to do in Middletown. Wouldn't it be nice to actually welcome a flight in? So these types of things are what this part is allocated for.
100%, we need that. My point was more to the fact that we're advertising these companies within our own advertisements. Are they putting in dollars for their
Oh, sure,
branding
they're
advertised?
absolutely.
So
They put
we're
in
doing
much
an
more
ad
than
for
we
5
do.
different companies. Those 5 different companies are contributing to that ad
Of
that
course,
we're putting in.
of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
we could.
So the next slide is our budget summary. So all the things we have talked about, it is pretty much, no, it's not pretty much, it is on this slide. And this is where we've come up with the 500,000 for additional marketing spend. And I just want to let you know that it is a collaboration and a message that I'm sending out through our county executive, who wants to make sure that I convey the message that this is an investment in the tourism economy so that more visitors come, and like we mentioned, that we can bring all of that visitor spending throughout the entire county. I'm opening it up for discussion for Kathy.
I have one question. The last slide that you had a lot of the buses, the trains and all that. The one issue that I see that does create a problem for us, and I know it's not your department, is that we don't have adequate transportation to get from any of those places to any of these activities and events.
Right.
So it's something that we have to catch them before they hop on the bus, the train, the plane, and all that, so that we would have that. In fact, I don't think right now we have enough rental cars that even if they came in, that we have the private sector doesn't have the rental cars for some of this. So, is that something you're gonna work on with that department? Because it really seems like there needs to be some collaboration
Yeah.
between our departments to address that need on top
Yeah.
of what you're doing.
Absolutely. So that is a collaboration with planning also, and working on a more robust transportation network. But to answer your question about the rent-a-cars, our rent-a-car companies at New York Stewart, they know when those flights are coming in and they already have those pre-booked reservations and they are able, and most of the time, to get those cars to the airport to do that. But has there been times where folks have not been able to get a rent-a-car? You betcha. Is it getting a little bit better? Yes. But it's all about planning and those reservations that come in landing at New York Stewart. But that's a great point. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
I have a few. So, I think we all understand the push for a digital campaign and social media and Google and YouTube, but what about print? Because we still have folks that may not have access to internet. We still have folks that may not necessarily be on social media or be on YouTube and will miss all of this. For example, like I don't watch TV. I honestly don't. I don't really listen to radio either. So I'm thinking about like that age group, which Kathy really had a point there, because it's like most people I know my age, we really don't. So I'm wondering what outside of I see perhaps the billboards being part of this, but outside of that, what where's the thought for non-digital?
Where's our print budget? So thankfully, we have a pretty robust print schedule in our existing budget that we do print ads for many publications, and we do a great guide that we're happy to get to folks that need the guide. And in fact, we ship thousands of guides a year out to people who request it. In this particular campaign, when we're focusing on that age group and in the DNA, we found that most do have that technology capability, and those are the folks that are spending the money. So can there be other campaigns? You betcha. But for this particular campaign, that's where it was, but happy to talk about other things we can do. But we do take care of a lot of that print in our normal advertising budget, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what about other languages? Is it all gonna be in English, or are you gonna have this in other language, like Spanish, for example? You have a lot of, talk about the boroughs, there's a lot of Spanish speaking folks in the boroughs.
So we will rely on our media partners to make sure that happens, and working with the networks, so.
Okay, and my last question is, and just in terms of like capacity and strategy within, not the plan, this actual plan around the campaign, but within the tourism department and whoever else is part of it, this is very ambitious for a short amount of time. So what does that strategy look like internally to ensure that these resources, if granted that they are not only going to be allocated the way that they're being described here, but that they're going to be allocated within the time that they're being described here?
So great question. It takes a lot of staying on top of this process and going back and making sure through our analytics that what we're doing is making a difference, to your point. And we hope to continue this program past this fall and winter, because a true campaign will actually build more momentum as the time goes on. And I hope I'm answering your question, but there will be a lot of looking at, analyzing. JP is very good at looking at the data, saying this is not working, we need to adjust, and we need to go somewhere else. So there'll be a lot of that, a lot of maintenance on this. And I feel that this type of a investment will benefit our economy greatly. And again, if we don't find that, we're going to change strategies. But I'm pretty sure this is going to really benefit our economy.
And just to jump in to address your question, the good thing is a lot of these assets are built already. So let's just say for the digital display and Google AdWords campaigns, we're looking to increase the budget of campaigns we're already running to a certain extent. For the television, you saw the draft video. I mean, it's 90% there. We have to do a 30-second cut down, and we would use that same commercial for the YouTube, Facebook, and TV. So to your point, the good news is a lot of these assets are built already, and we can move very quickly.
Chairwoman.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great presentation, very, very ambitious, very, very interesting. And I was trying to jot down numbers as I was going along and I kind of lost track, so I apologize for that. This last screen, which was the budget itself, I would like to see what you're asking for, if I'm correct, is you're asking for additional 2022 monies to be able to implement this, because quite frankly, this time thing has started already. So, we're kind of behind the 8 ball in that if we're gonna move, we gotta move. And I'd like to see what the existing budget breakdown is for those various different mediums and what you have, because I know in the initial slides that you presented, you did in fact have
What we spent for the year.
you had some budgeted money, so I'd like to see what the comparison is. I know the additional 500, but I'd like to see what you existingly have and how it differs.
We will get that to you.
Thank you. And you can just send it over to the clerk.
Legislative
Thanks,
session.
Amanda.
Thank you.
Genesis raised a good point, and I brought this up before. Great presentation, by the way. I'm glad to see, I looked at the numbers here, and they're very impressive. We're doing quite well with tourism in Orange County. And to beef it up is certainly a good idea. I think Stewart Airport is an untapped resource. I'm a big user of Allegiant Airline because it flies into Florida, to Myrtle Beach. And since it's a low, I use it, well, probably because it's low cost, yeah, but also it's an Uber. It's quick, it's easy, it's great. But I talk to everybody, as people know, and people are coming from Pennsylvania to use that airport. They're coming from Connecticut, they're coming from Long Island, they're coming from Sullivan, they're coming from all over. Allegiant has a publication, and I know print media is out, you guys are the experts on it, but I will tell you, an Allegiant airline, because there's nothing else to do, it's a low cost airline, everybody reads that pamphlet. I read it from cover to cover as I see young people and old people, and they're flipping through, and there's ads in there. While in Florida, come here, just as you've mentioned in here. So I'd like to see us look at possibly Frontier Airline we have in there, they've now merged with Spirit. And we have Allegiant Airline in there, there's kiosks in there, people are coming in there. So while they're in Orange County, can we capture them with some of this other stuff?
Yes.
And I want to see the UFO Museum, I don't see any mention of that at all. As quirky as that may seem,
We have always
Bill
preferred it.
Ferranti loves it.
Yeah, he does. You can't get out of that.
I mean, as quirky as it is, and then you've got Angry Orchard down the road, but I think you mentioned that, and you did, to your credit, mention that, but, yeah, that's it. But I think Stewart and some of those airlines and a kiosk, all those people going in and out, coming from Connecticut, Pennsylvania to use Stewart, throw out the other things that we have somehow, I don't know how.
Yeah, good point. A digital kiosk I always thought about for that, and a movable kiosk, that would be a welcome kiosk. I thought of that as well. And it is very costly, as you can imagine, to advertise at Stewart. I wish it wasn't. But there is a company that owns all the marketing in next Stewart, and we're trying to work through that. But point taken, that literature, that media outlet would be probably a good strategy. Thank you for that.
Can I touch on the chairwoman's question? Half this budget is driven by the TV and radio campaign.
It appeared that way,
Yeah.
yes.
So you saw this, to the best of where you were sitting, the 60-second TV spot.
Actually, I didn't see it at all, but that's okay.
All right, well, we can stay and share
No,
it.
it's
Sorry, we
fine.
had an EV problem
I
with
get
sound.
the gist and I get the.
Yeah, I mean, so that ad campaign on TV and radio is around September 9 through October 12, which is the peak season. And day trippers making last minute plans to come up to Legoland or whatever it may be. And we have an opportunity to run with, like I said, half the budget is running through that period. The rest of the spend is gonna go through November and December. So we have the asset built. We can be on the air in a couple weeks, we could be on Monday if we wanted to. But, you know, we still have time to do the meaningful campaign. So I just want to address that. The asset's ready. We can do some good things. So I hope that's additional information that's helpful for you.
It's appreciated.
Thank you. I'm going to touch on legislative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Katie. Jens has brought up some great points too. Look, I'm one of these kind of guys on the budget, like, we have a $1.2 million budget. I think you have a $500,000 contract with the county. Is this $500,000 going to Focus Media to do all the campaign?
So,
And,
okay,
let me finish.
Sure.
I see from all your remarks that, we're doing great this year with the money that we've allotted already, for this year. Budget season's coming up. Are you going to be asking for additional funding on top of your existing budget to continue this program? Because I'm seeing a 32.5% increase without this enhancement. So let's talk about what we're doing with the money. What's not an enhancement? What are we spending the money on that's bringing in the 32.5% increase now that we all of a sudden need more money to enhance it? Is it just to make it go longer? Is it all these new ideas? Aren't we doing any of this now? I mean, we are, right?
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the theory is this. We are doing a great job with about 20% of the visitor dollars that come into this county. We're doing a great job. Who's to say that we couldn't do a better job with more investment? So with that mindset, saying, let's just not do anything else or not improve it because we're already doing well, is not, I don't think, a real safe marketing strategy. I think that we need to be stronger as a county. We need to be out there promoting more. And I think sky's the limit. I'm not going to use 100% of the visitor dollars, but what's great to say is that we are using the visitor dollars. So that's great to say that because it's not an ask from you or me, it's a visitor dollar ask. So that's one. But two, being where we should be comparatively to our partners in the region, I think it would make great sense. Our economy is thriving, but our economy can do better. And many of my colleagues in tourism have stressed the importance of keep the marketing initiatives, keep fresh, keep doing this. County executive certainly feels very strongly about making this investment in tourism to help the economy and to help our communities. Can talk more. To answer your question, yes, there will be an ask for next year to continue this program.
On top of the existing budget.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If I can just add to that, to support Amanda, Mike, that's a great point. I know where you're coming from, but my other hat, my Remax hat, from a Remax and an advertising strategy, and again, these guys are the pros, we're not, that the rule of thumb is not when you're down and out to spend the money, but strike while the iron is hot. The iron is hot really now, and you want to enhance it, as Amanda said. So the most successful businesses are the ones advertising more now. So we're successful in tourism. We don't want to cut back. We want to enhance that. Correct?
Yes.
I defer to the advertisers. I don't want to waste money, but I don't think it's a waste of money. I think the iron's hot and we want to enhance it.
Well, I want to answer one more question.
Wait, I didn't say it was a
Sorry,
waste of money.
No. I want to answer one more of your question. Focus Media is our agency of record until December 31st. We have went out for another RFP. They are applying for the marketing services. From now to the end of the year, the media spend will be through Focus Media. Next year, it might be.
So I just want
Thank you.
I want to clarify, the 525, a significant majority of it is a pass-through for advertising. That's not Focus Media.
I think you do a great job. I'm just quite, look, I have a job to do too, and I try to stay on top of it. When I see something budgeted for the year and you come in for a supplemental budget right before budget time, makes me say, wow, either they're doing a great job like you're talking about, and you need to enhance it, is what you're doing.
Well, I think where he is that the spend is there, success breeds success. We're in a very successful time right now. We have the extra money to be able to do it. So why not do it?
Well, that's a good question, Mr. Chairman, but there's a lot of other issues in the county that we need to address as well. So,
Agreed, but not here. And I thank all of you for your comments. I think Legislator Ramos, you had another question?
I guess I have another question, related to these proposed numbers.
Sure.
So I get the, like, you provided breakdowns in terms of how you got to these totals, like the costs behind these things. But were these data driven in terms of, like, were these amounts, are these the amounts that are gonna prove or yield the results that you're proposing here and looking for ultimately?
Yeah, look, can I answer that question?
Absolutely.
Lisa and I and JP worked on the budget. So when you do a radio schedule or a TV schedule, you not only want to target the right demographic, you think we give you solid advice. And that's the audience, but the number of frequency, how often that group of people will see it. You see a 3, 4 to 5 frequency. Media buying methodologies, you want to minimally be 3, but that's usually over a longer period of time. This is a month blitz, so we're very, from a scientific and data-driven perspective, we think, $250,000 in the New York City metropolitan area is not a huge spend, but because we did it in a blitz time and during Orange County's peak time, we think that's going to be, used wise of dollars. If we spent, like I said, at $250 over a year, it wouldn't be the right thing to do. As far as data, we have very good data on digital advertising, the digital display and Google AdWords. So we know it's going to bolster traffic. The science is there. But a very good question. I'll just say one other thing. I wore a lot of hats, over the last 20 years, and most of your budget is mandated, that the county has. But there's 3 ways the county makes money. Ratables with economic development, tourism, and sales tax. So this is an investment, Amanda actually gave me this, this commenting, but I don't think it came up. So I just, wanted to reinforce this, that, the results are there. Our neighboring counties on CBS TV, and, it's just something strong to consider. So.
Thank you. Legislator Cheney.
Yeah. On this campaign, how will the success of it be measured? What factors will you be looking at to tell us it worked or it didn't work here and it worked here?
Certainly web stats are an indicator, and then you have the bed tax. Those are 2 indicators. And there's a lot of advertising campaigns, like when we used to do print only. It's really hard to measure. We have more data than we've had ever. So that's certainly.
Yeah, it's a variety of key performance indicators, and it depends on the medium that we're using. I think when we went over the proposed spends, we kind of broke down the key performance indicators for each one. So when we look at AdWords, we're looking at the clicks and where they're going. When we look at digital display, we're looking at the total number of impressions and traffic to the website as well. And it all boils down to, obviously, website traffic, but then also the hotel motel occupancy numbers as well, because that's the ultimate goal, is to get people to spend more money in this county, because it benefits everybody.
So the hotel motel isn't driven solely by the advertising campaign. There are other things that go into it. What percentage do you think it's driven by the advertising?
There's no definitive answer for that. But, we can tell by our data that, there's 2 things. We know the data is definitely in the right direction. You see over the 5-year average, and also market conditions have a lot to do with it as well. 19 new hotels.
Well, we've got new anchors.
Right, and when legislators, Sassy to his point, now you have an even bigger product than you've had before. So it's an opportunity to capitalize it because the market conditions are getting better. And it's an opportunity to strike while the iron's hot. So, But fair question. We can't, scientifically point to which each reservation is. But there's more data available than ever.
We can't take all of the credit, but we can take some of the credit because
Well,
the
no, I'm
numbers
not
are there.
suggesting you don't deserve it, but fortunately,
Because the numbers are there,
Right.
they add up, so we can take part
But
of
it's a fair,
it.
there's no doubt since label land opened, there's been an exponential increase in bed tax, but clearly marketing is a significant part.
And we went through things pretty quick. I'd certainly appreciate getting a copy of the slides.
Yes.
But one of the things that I noticed, or I thought I noticed, was that the increase over the last 2 years isn't as great as it was the previous years on a percentage basis. And is that due to the fact that the earlier years were pushed by Legoland and other attractions coming on board that drove that, or comments, thoughts?
There's no doubt market conditions are a big part of it, having bigger stock of rooms, but we can show increased activity each year before we had a destination resort. Or more hotels. But, 3 years of declines, we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now, so.
Right.
But yeah, look at COVID, market conditions impacted that.
Right.
So a lot of it's driven by the free market.
And as far as the distribution goes on the budget here, how similar is that, the mediums to what your current contract has on a percentage breakdown? Is it similar?
Oh, well, that's higher. I know we were asked to provide what we currently spend in each category. Some of them we don't spend right now, so many of them we don't spend right now. JP, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say, so billboard, there was no budget this year, TV, there was no budget, radio, there was no budget, YouTube, there was no budget. Feasibility study, yeah, all those things are enhancing what we're currently doing.
So where did we spend the money this year on the pass-through?
Primarily with the digital advertising, the Google AdWords and the digital display advertising, and to a lesser extent, Facebook.
And this talked about this being like a seasonal campaign. So given that there are 4 seasons, I'm just wondering, and I think this kind of works off of what Minority Leader Duke said, what's the 2023 budget ask going to look like? Is it going to be current plus 500, or is it going to be current plus more than 500?
Well, we're working on that out right now. And it's budget season, so we'll be coming to you with an ask. And it will be larger.
Okay. And then we talked a lot about the multiple night stays and the importance of that. And it seems we've been talking about the importance of that for quite a while. We've recognized it maybe almost as long as I've been a legislator. So why do we think we're going to be able to impact that now when seemingly we haven't been able to do as much maybe as we hoped to in the past?
So to talk through that, it has been getting better actually, but not to the degree that it will get better with this big influx of investment into tourism and marketing. We have been seeing, for example, the average overnight was maybe 1.6 or something. I know it's hard to say that, but now it's over 2. So people coming here in our season are staying over 2 nights, which is, might seem a little bit, but it is enough to say whatever we're doing is working. We would like to see that overnights increase past 2 nights. When we create a destination, whether it be with a Legoland or a Storm King or a West Point, or some of our downtown festivals that we can combine with these, that's when we extend our stays more than 2 nights. And that's what we hope to accomplish. But we have been successful.
So should be a metric that we want to follow and judge the success of the campaign.
We should do that.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up soon. It's a big budget, but Legislator Fagioni, have spoken yet, please?
Thank you, Chairman. One quick question. Small business guy here. I got hit up $100 to put my name on the back of a T-shirt for the Fall Foliage Festival in Port Jervis. I'm co-op advertising with the Fall Foliage Festival. I'm paying $100, getting my name on the back of that T-shirt. In all of this buy here, we heard Legoland, West Point, Woodbury Common. In terms of their co-op, we're gonna be blasting their names out everywhere through all of this. How much are they paying into this $500,000 buy? How much financial money are they putting into this to be co-advertising on our advertising campaign?
Okay, so I'm gonna change the language a little bit. We, Orange County, are benefiting from hopping onto them, okay? So we want to do this. We're trying to make that spend. They don't need us, we need them. And it's not just Legoland, it's West Point, it's Storm King Art Center, it's Angry Orchard, it's City Winery. It would be nice for us to spend with them. Now, they're already doing it. And by collaborating with them, we benefit. So I just trying to change the language just a little bit, because it's not about, they were just paying. It's about an actual targeted marketing campaign that will result in results that are quantifiable. 12,000 people responded to the Orange County tourism site because we co-branded with Legoland for not much of a spend at all. Maybe it was $8,000. But we got 12,000 people that want to be in Orange County and do other things in Orange County besides go to Legoland. That is a great campaign. So to answer your question, you're spending $100 to be on the back of a T-shirt. I'll take your money for my guide. No, I'm just kidding. So no, just kidding with that. But it's kind of the same principle, but yet not. We should always capitalize on our strongest assets.
So they should pay me to be on the T-shirt.
Maybe they should.
Right.
Yes,
I'm down
they
with
should.
that.
Yes.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for that. answer. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Legislator Sassy, now a few comments.
Amanda, on one of those slides, I think one of the key points here, kind of sum this up, on there, I think, kind of went over everybody's head, they saw it. But if you compare what Sullivan County's room tax is and what they're spending on tourism and ours, there's a big gap. We're spending a far, far less amount.
Right.
So you mentioned before, someone called a friend or whatever, couldn't find a hotel room. So it all makes sense. I mean, that hotel tax is where our money is. And if people are staying in Orange County, that 5-point-something million room tax revenue is only gonna go up. With 19 hotels being built, it's only gonna go up. So again, I think it's money well spent.
Thank you. So I have a couple of comments. One, the net. So you're looking at DMA. I'm wondering, why is our net so small? Why are we only just going out, we're kind of like bubbling outside of Orange County? Why aren't we going further? Why aren't we going where our Stewart Airport flies to and advertising in those locations as well? It seems like we got a little bit bigger, but
Yeah.
we should be able to project, is what I'm saying.
Well, yes, absolutely. And this is a low hanging fruit. We know there's tons of money to spend in that DMA. And we know that by putting this concentrated marketing campaign in that DMA, we're going to see results. That being said, there's a whole side of a conversation about our international spend that we need to be low hanging fruit. Why aren't we talking more to the European visitors and the Iceland visitors to come here and stay here? We are working on that, but guess what? Another entity is paying for that right now, and that's our regional office.
Okay.
So that's why we haven't really put our toes in the water on that, because our regional office takes care of that. But this, yes, we should expand. We should expand further. But this DMA is going to bring in the most money.
All right, so this is sort of a test.
No, it's proven. This is
a test for us as to where we're gonna go for the next test. Or are you just planning on saying,
No,
set it and forget it, we're over?
can I jump in?
Please.
So to Amanda's point and to your point, you're both right. So for the spend this year, focus on the New York DMA. We have advertised in Philly and Boston before. We haven't had the funds to do so to where it's actually gonna make a significant impact. So if you had $20,000 and you can advertise in New York only or Philly only, you're gonna advertise in New York because more people are gonna come from New
We're
York.
scratching the surface.
So.
And that's pretty much my point, is you're scratching the surface, you got a smaller bubble. The point
Yeah,
being is that we're
absolutely.
looking at, we're trying to fill beds during the week, right? That's been a discussion
Yes.
that we've been having. This does not do that. What we need for that to happen is our convention center. We need those types of events, we've had the discussion, that those types of things have to happen so that we are not filled for just the things that families go to on a weekend, but something that businesses and other things go to during the week and becomes a stanchion of who we are as a community. So to put that into play needs to happen. I don't really see that happening with this campaign, although I think it will accomplish a lot of different things. I don't know if that's the exact target of this, but I would like to see a target for that because we need that.
We do. And it's been touched on in this campaign. It has been touched on. Our sports, our film, our conference centers, enhancing that. I mean, we made one phone call to Holiday Inn Express and got them 14 overnights in a second because of film. More opportunities like that will fill those midweek stays. But yes, we have addressed it. We put our toes in the water. We haven't dived in yet, but those sports, film and conference centers would help significantly.
Lastly, my benchmark of success on this, and I won't speak to the committee, but mine would be that whatever we're spending in addition forward, we should be seeing at least that in return on the back end. So that's where I will be tracking. One last question, sir.
Just one comment, just on that. You know, when you guys reapprove this additional 500,000, we're not gonna see the results before budget. They're gonna come in for another bigger ask, and we're not gonna know what the results of this ask was. So just keep that in mind. That's what I'm gonna have.
Well, I think that's a good question. What do you see as the horizon for results on this marketing campaign?
So, there's a little bit of a risk factor always when you're making a big spend like this, but the results that we're gonna see from the marketing efforts going on for this fall and winter are probably not gonna be seen until next year. That's how our cycle goes.
Oh, no, it's a fair question.
Yeah, that's how our
Thank
cycle goes, and you won't see it immediately, but you
Fair answer,
will
Robert.
see it.
All right.
Yeah, you know, you don't run a campaign for a month and say it didn't work. It's a long-term investment.
I do understand that. I do understand. And you have one last question? Please make
I
it
did,
brief.
well, it's kind of real. One of them was what Mike just brought up as far as that. Isn't this more of a gamble doing this? I mean, I understand and I support this whole idea because I believe that you have to put money to make money, and when you're on the high, you have to keep pushing it. Using this for the winter months, I'm not thinking that you're gonna get the same projection as what we would get if this was a spring, summer promotion that we were looking at doing. But the biggest question I really have is, what are we doing for the winter months? Because the weekday, I think the packages is the way to go on that, because we don't have the convention center now and we don't have a lot of those other things. But if we collaborate and do packages, I think that's gonna be the pull that's gonna bring people in during the week. But what are we looking to do with the winter promotionals? Because Legoland's gonna be closed, a lot of the activities are gonna be closed. So a lot of the things that we're advertising now are not gonna be the ideal spots where people are gonna say, hey, I wanna come up there on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or even a Friday, Saturday. So do we have a different venue or a different set of goals that we're gonna be looking for pushing for that end of November, December, January? Because that's, I mean, we wanna be able to see that this is a positive so that everybody can be behind pushing this forward even into next year. But, you know, without having that outlined and knowing what we're gonna be looking at for that and how we're gonna promote that, I'd hate to see this come in low because it is at the end of the year and it is coming into the colder months. Whereas if this had been promoted for the spring, summer, we would have seen a major impact.
Yeah.
If I can address that one. So, you know, as we've mentioned, the TV and radio is definitely a fall blitz. The Facebook, Google AdWords, digital display, those traditionally transfer over to a winter campaign come after November. So we would be promoting either the midweek stays or, our winter destinations.
And we do
Thank
have some winter destinations, and we really follow the events too. We try to, work with our events to bring more people here. And we do have winter events, which is wonderful. It's the Northeast, and we're not on a ski slope, so it's not the most advantageous tourism climate for things, but people want.
Although we
to-
have ski resorts.
We do. No, I know we do, but we're not. I'm saying we're not Stowe. Okay, so who does fantastic.
Fair enough.
in the winter.
But if I can also interject, if you look, we talked about bolstering video and photography assets and some of the online video additions that we proposed. We talked about enjoying downtowns, boutique lodging, and winter in Orange County. And those are three very targeted videos that we're proposing to promote. So specifically winter in Orange County, talking about various downtowns and talking about boutique lodging. Those are things that can go, really year round, and obviously not winter because that's very specific, but boutique lodging and downtowns really are 4-season type of videos that we can talk about. So that really speaks to 4-season campaigns, speaks to winter, because again, we do have skiing, we have Mount Peter, we have other ski resorts in Orange County. There's tubing, there's a variety of other activities that we can do here that we can promote on social media and digitally, in digital advertising and on the website to drive traffic and drive people here. And there's festivals and other things going on in downtowns that we can promote. So there's absolutely advertising and promotions that we plan to do to draw people and draw attractions, even when there may not be things going on at Legoland, but there are absolutely activities going on in the county.
And your digital and video and YouTube will address those items on
Yeah,
a
we
smaller
have it.
basis.
Yeah, we have it right here. It's in the
Okay.
plan.
So I guess, I appreciate and understand the big splash of the big players that are in the county at this point. Give them the due, it is done, and I think that's something that Mr. Fioravanti will be able to promote as a beautiful thing for some larger items coming in. But to that extent, I don't want to forget the small business that we have in our community. And that needs to be, I'd like to see some equality throughout all of that. And not to just focus centrally on Orange County, but to focus on the edges of Orange County as well. So those are some key aspects. I'd like to, wrap this meeting up. We've had a lot of very robust discussion. It's a good budget. It's a large budget, and we got more coming up. So, thank you, sir. On the question for this budget, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for listening.
Anyone opposed?
There's nobody else.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
Without further ado, Mr. Fioravanti and the IDA update for the month.
I have my,
Alright.
no problem. I had my window to get here before.
I decided to get some gas instead. Well, we make some work sessions sometimes, so. But thank you. Are we all there, Riyadh? Because an IDA update is just gonna push over the edge of this.
So you have 30 seconds.
What do you got, pal?
Yeah, we'll make it swift. We actually canceled our July board meeting because of just the timing of our agenda items. It was not that busy. Thank you, Kelly. So I don't have that much new information, frankly. But I will, as usual, I'll go as swiftly as I can, and you either stop me or Candy ask me some questions. So first of all, thank you so much to Chairwoman Benelli, Mr. Minuta, everyone for the two board members. I did meet them outside and chatted with them. I know they need final approval by the full ledge, but we're excited about that. I know Mr. Palladino pretty well. I think he's gonna be fantastic. I did not know Mr. Green, but I'm gonna get to know him. He and I just connected. We're gonna see each other tomorrow, I think. So looking forward to that. Thanks so much.
Thank you for being here.
Well,
For sure, thank you. Okay, and we have our upcoming meetings, just so you know, this coming Wednesday is our Board of Directors meeting, is downstairs in the community room as always, and then in the same location, you see those subsequent meetings after that. A quick update on our projects, Royal Line, we did have a public hearing in Village Hall in Goshen on the 19th of July. That will come before the Board of Directors on Wednesday for their consideration of approval of IDA benefits for that. I think I gave you erroneous numbers, frankly, before. I think I had less than 100, but it's more than 100 jobs expected to come. Some employees of Royal will be relocating from Bayonne, New Jersey here, but many of them, they calculated a good 10 of those employees already live in Orange County, so it actually be a benefit to them as well. And then a number of Royal employees are
on the senior side, and there will be turnover in those jobs. So even the jobs of folks that are moving, those become new jobs to us, before too long as well. So we are talking about 100 jobs there, and the nation's largest manufacturer of kosher wine and second largest manufacturer of grape juice next to Welch's. So would be a great project. Tremendous family, seventh generation family running that. So that's kind of coming to a head on Wednesday. Milmar, you may or may not be familiar with them. They are a food manufacturer in the town of Goshen, 6.5 Station Road and 17M. I remember Amanda, actually, when we worked together at the partnership, she was working with Milmar on a project and presented to the town of Goshen, and even they did not know that Milmar employs well over 300 people right there in the town. So they are been talked about for a while, but they are planning an expansion there, and they have come to us. They've submitted an application to us, and they will be presenting on Wednesday as well. Mount St. Mary, I've talked to you about that. It's a bond deal on the bond side. Just taking some time. It takes a while for that to happen, but I'll keep you posted on that as well. Moving into finance, I have talked about our CFO for hire kind of arrangement, outsourced CFO work. We did do an RFP for that, and RBT CPAs of Newburgh has been working with us. They've been doing a great job. We work specifically weekly with Shannon Manisi in their office. One of the things that she has focused on, she and her team, is, I'll describe it as uncoiling some of the financial arrangements that were in place, especially in and around the accelerator finances, so that those figures and spending did not come before the board. We, of course, have changed all that, uncoiled all of that. She's really finalizing one of the last moves of that, which is kind of rebuilding our enterprise on QuickBooks Online, which is what all our accounting, our bookkeeping and accounting is done through. So that's coming through. We are also putting an RFP out for an auditor. I was going to say a new auditor, but not necessarily. We've worked with Jellison, Giordano, and Siegel, JGS. They've gone by recently. They have recently merged with PKF O'Connor Davies, a larger firm in the region. But JGS had done our audit for several years in a row, and it's just time. Like everything else we're doing at the IDA, we're re-procuring all our services so that everything is an open, transparent process. This legislature, our board, everyone knows, what we've gone through with that. So the board, I expect to authorize the audit RFP on Wednesday, and that will go out shortly. JGS/O'Connor Davies, they come back and win it again. But there will be others that will be looking for responses for. Local labor monitoring, talked about that to ensure that we have local construction labor per our local labor policy. We did hire 2 firms, one based in Goshen, another in Middletown, and we are onboarding them now. Our newest projects, the battery storage project, West Warwick, and perhaps Royal Wine, some like projects like that would be in the pipeline for the new firms to start managing for us. Bond counsel is next. It's an important RFP. We have new general counsel who most of you have all met, Susan Katzoff from Bousquet Holstein. She's terrific. Can't say enough about her and the job she's done for us. But we also, the other side of the house is our bond counsel. Helps us with issuing tax-free revenue bonds to various projects like Mount St. Mary, as I mentioned. We have the board selected 3 finalist firms that applied, and they put it to me to do final interviews and make a recommendation. I made a recommendation in executive session at our governance committee meeting, and we'll be doing so again at our board of directors meeting, so the board could vote on that. We could have new bond counsel. It's currently Harris Beach. They also have been with the IDA for like 20 years. So we are looking at other options there as well. Marketing and public relations. The IDA actually worked with Focus Media also for quite some time. That too, we just want to re-procure. Our contract with them ended. We're doing some things on our own, but we have ambitious goals for marketing, PR, educating the public. That RFP also was reviewed by the board through our governance committee last week, and the full board will vote hopefully to issue that Thursday, the day after the meeting. So continue to re-procure our services, and again, make sure that everything is transparent to you and to the public. So I'm proud of that. Shovel-ready site analysis. I really look forward to a more detailed presentation to you about this shovel-ready initiative. I described it in greater detail in prior meetings. I won't do that right now, but we are about to make a selection on that as well. A firm, most likely an engineering firm. That's who many of the respondents were, because it's right up their alley, where they can assess water and sewer that are networks that exist in various municipalities. What other type of infrastructure exists? Help us develop detailed maps using GIS and other features like that, so that we have a robust inventory of available developable sites. Again, I'm about to make a recommendation to the board on Wednesday for which firm of the 5 respondents that we should choose. Once we have engaged with that firm, I'd like to maybe have them come present, but at least before that, probably I'll come and give a little more detail as to how this process will play out. I think it's really an exciting project for us to be involved in, but exciting for the county as well, for our partners to use, including the Orange County Partnership. So more to come on that. And just some other meetings, regional meetings. I mentioned we have kind of a consortium of regional IDAs that have gotten together talking about issues that affect us, talking about work we'd like to do together, as I proposed some joint marketing and joint education to the public in the Mid-Hudson to help them understand the truths versus myths around IDAs. We are set to host the next regional meeting tomorrow, actually, but typical August conflicts, and we have to postpone that to September. If anyone's interested in hearing more about that, I don't have a new date yet, but I will share that, and you can certainly ask me anytime. Association of Towns, I attend that regularly with many of you, of course. I think that's very, very important, especially for me to stay connected with municipal leaders. So I'm there I'm on vacation in August when it will be in my city of Newburgh. So Ramos, I did share that with you. We'll attend. Local East Rotary just presented to them.
Great group.
Yes, great group, Rob, for sure. Thank you. So legislator. And OC Economic Development Summit. I don't know if Mr. Gross has been up before you recently, but we are collaborating with tourism, with the partnership, with the chamber on an economic development summit for Orange County in October, slated right now for actually September 30th. This is what we're looking at. I think that's going to be great. Unfortunate Legislator O'Donnell isn't here because I know that's something when I was in the director position, he was pushing for a summit. Unfortunately, COVID happened, but I think that will be a great thing that will be happening. And I also continue to work with New York State EDC, get a lot of great information from them, especially on where IDAs are going and legislation related to our work, et cetera, et cetera. And I continue to appear on radio and such to promote the IDA and talk about projects that are happening. That is my quick update, but ready for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Anyone? Speak now or hold your peace.
Want to go?
That's the way you make a phone call.
Right, exactly.
Bill, any updates on the Bannister Park? Or anything? Any rumblings on that?
Nothing firm yet. Frankly, that has really been a team effort where all of our partners in economic development have talked about that a lot. We've all talked about sites, we've shared ideas. It's kind of moved around between a few potential municipalities, but there have been a few issues with each, either sites or something else that has prevented it from landing. So kind of still up there, but we were talking about the winter. That would be a wonderful complement to what we have and things we could run at other times of the year. So nothing yet firm, but hope to.
Are there any key metrics or constants that's preventing this particular park?
There are a few different issues. They got a little ahead of themselves in Monroe, for example. They hadn't analyzed the wetlands that were available that were present at the site that they were looking to build on, and they had a whole public meeting, frankly, that stirred a lot of concern up. And then they determined that they couldn't build there anyway. So that was something where it kind of got ahead of itself, got a lot of steam, got a lot of publicity and such.
A lot of negative energy.
There for no reason. There was for no reason. So, and a few other, nothing consistent. It's really on a case by case and site by site basis, things that are keeping it from happening. I could probably give some other frank comments, but I'll leave it there. I think there's a little more work for them to do on their project to really get it so that it's the right fit somewhere else.
I hope. Well, I thank you for being here. You're always welcome, and I appreciate the update, as we all do. And thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Without further ado, I would like to call for what?
Okay.
Those opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned. All in favor?
Well,